Okay, guys, why don't we're going to get started. Let's get Devin in here. Okay, we're going to start. Devin only has one bill, so we're going to let him do his bill, and then he can continue his work on energy issues. And so we need him deployed on that front. And so we got everybody here. Okay, we're going to start our voting list. Everybody's got their voting list. There's a little front, and then there's a half page on the back. And okay, and there are amendments coming around. And then we will also do some voting tomorrow after the bill. The bill hearings tomorrow are going to be short. And so whatever, if people need another day on any of these bills for more information, we'll pick it up tomorrow. And we have no bill hearings on Friday, just, so everybody knows. Well, I don't want to say 100%. I mean, my hope would be that that's the case, but let's if we can get through this list and then whatever we have on tomorrow, that'll look good for Friday, okay? And we'll have some folks not here tomorrow and Friday, which is another reason we wanted to get some of these bills on the vote list, okay? That said, Devin, why don't we start with the House version of the commemorative day, House Bill 661 from Delegates Wallach and Solomon. This is an issue that we did run into some discussion on the Senate bill, but the Senate bill's not on this list. This is purely the House bill, so we don't need to do any motions or any of that thing. This is purely, so refresh everybody's memory, Devin, on House Bill 661.
House Bill 661, General Provisions, Commemorative Months, Muslim American Heritage and Jewish American Heritage Months. This bill requires the governor to annually proclaim the month of January as Muslim American Heritage Month in recognition of the contributions that Muslim Americans have made to the state, and the month of May as Jewish American Heritage Month in recognition of the contributions that Jewish Americans have made to the state. The proclamations must urge education and cultural organizations to observe Muslim American Heritage Month and Jewish American Heritage Month with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. There are no amendments.
Okay, so this cultural and religious, these things, will go to, again, everybody can vote however you want. We just have a House bill. Senator Gallion.
Yes, it's a little unusual to have a direct cross-file that did not get passed out when we voted on the Senate cross-file here. I'd like to note that first. Second, I was just looking, we brought this up the last time, and, I think we try to be inclusive. Usually, we hear that word a lot, but when you're picking out two religions and giving them each a month, that's excluding other religions. So I have a huge problem with that. If you look at the key religious groups in Maryland, Roman Catholic, Protestant, Black Protestant, Muslim, Jewish, and then other faiths to include Hindus, Buddhists, and Jehovah's Witnesses. But, I realize the Protestant and the Catholic, they all would fall under Christian. So I think we need to include something else here or just do the same thing we did last time, in my opinion.
Again, it's House bill. Folks can vote however they want. I mean, honestly, we could vote the same way or differently, and that's kind of why we're here. So anybody else want to weigh in on this before we take any kind of a vote? And if it turns out the same way, it does. Okay, Senator Washington.
Thank you. I just wanted to remind, so we took a vote, but it failed to get, it failed to get enough votes.
It was 4 yes, 0 no's, and 7 abstentions, which is also highly unusual.
Right.
So, folks who abstained may want a second crack. I mean, this is democracy, so it was a 4-0-7 vote, which, again, I don't recall a bill quite with that vote count. So, okay, Senator Carrozza.
Going back to the hearing and the way it was presented, the bill was presented, we keep talking about religions, but is this more cultural? I mean, I'm just trying to understand, I think the bill sponsor combined Muslim American, Jewish American Heritage Months. specifically combining those to promote the culture of both for the same month? I guess.
It's two different months, and I do think, as I recall, the emphasis was more cultural than religion, to be, but that's, again, everybody heard what they wanted to hear. Senator Harris, you wanted to weigh in?
Yeah, so, Mr. Chair, so I was actually one of the abstentions from the last time and having a good conversation with the bill sponsor as well as the House members about the bill. I'll be in full favorable on the bill this go around. I think the goal here makes sense to me, and I understand what the goal. I understand what the goal is, so I'll be favorable for the bill.
Mr. Chair, I would say that if in the hearing, it was very focused on the cultures of Muslim Americans and the cultures of Jewish Americans and not focused on the religions of those two entities.
Go to Senator Watson, then back to Senator Gallion.
Yeah, I also had an opportunity to really get a better understanding of the bill. And, Jewish is really unique with the dual identity of being, a people who share common ancestry, history, language, roots, and all of those things, as well as a religion. And so that being the case, I plan to support the bill. And, Mr. Chair, if there's any possible way to do a motion to reconsider the Senate bill so we could pass both. But I do support this bill. Thanks.
The senator indicated she was fine with just moving the House bill, so why don't we, I think just to make this as simple as possible, separate vote. Senator Gallion, and then we'll go to Senator Washington.
When you bring in like the historic, so a person could be born in Iowa and grow up as a Christian, and then when they're in their 30s decide that they want to switch to the Jewish or Muslim faith. So they would still be able to celebrate that month. So, I mean, that's kind of, I think, semantics saying that. But anyhow, it's clear the bill is going to pass, and out of the trying to bring some a little more inclusivity, I would like to offer an amendment to make December Christian American Heritage Month. And then, if that passes, I would probably be able to vote for the bill myself.
Okay, well, this is obviously the House. This is a House bill, so this would have to go. Okay, well, I don't.
Is there a second?
You made a motion, and so okay, there's a second. Okay, Senator Hester, we do have a motion on an amendment from Senator Gallion. Okay, Senator Hester.
In discussing the amendment. There's multiple holidays scheduled in December, like Kwanzaa and other holidays, and so, not to mention Hanukkah. So, I don't know. I feel like I would support that, but not in this bill. And so I think we should just. I think this bill had a hearing. We haven't had a hearing on the amendment. I would just roll. I mean, I will not be supporting the amendment, but happy to work with you over the interim, Senator.
Oh, yeah. Well, why don't we get everybody in, and then we're going to yield back to the sponsor of the amendment. Senator Attar on the amendment or on the...
It's not on the amendment, so
okay.
I'll
Who wants
do it
to
after.
weigh in on this amendment? Senator Harris and then Senator Brooks, and then we'll go back to sponsor of the amendment. Senator Harris and
Yes,
Senator Brooks.
Yes, I appreciate it, Chair. On the amendment, so I get the point. I get where the good senator is trying to go. As a Christian, I don't think that's the right path that I will want to support in this endeavor. I think there's multiple things we could do from that point of view. I don't want to shorten it or belittle it by just throwing it on as an amendment. I think we should explore other ways because I think we can do more in that area.
Okay, back to the sponsor of the amendment.
So if you look on the fiscal note and you look, I mean, I'm glad there's a Holocaust Remembrance Day, which ties in. You look at the other months. There's as you go through there. This would be that I see of this list the first time that we add something based solely on religion. Now you can say about the history and whatever, but I think, as I mentioned before, a person can be one religion, and then as they get older, they could decide, you know, that I feel more in tune with another one and become a member of a different type of church, or to use the vice chair's words, faith institution, her preferred word on that. So, you know, I went through the list of these, and I'm not asking for us to do a month for Roman Catholics, a month for Protestants, a month for Black Protestants. I'm saying combine them all into 1 month. The reason I say December is because you know, you think as the two major holidays for the Christian faith, of course, Christmas and Easter, but Easter could be in March or April. So that's why I think December would be the best month for that. It gets your three biggest religions all included. And I think this is a much more inclusive product than the bill as a, and you can say what came over from the House. You know, we have a lot of times we don't agree exactly what the House does. You know, it's our job to do the best job we can in this committee and in the Senate of Maryland, and hopefully they would conform to our side if that passes. You know, I don't know if this even, I didn't go back and listen to the hearing on the House side. I didn't listen to the committee votes in the House side or anything. I don't know if this was even brought up. This might be a brand new idea to add this in. And I think it has merit, and I would just like to press this amendment.
Okay, yeah, properly submitted motion. I would note, I believe this House bill passed unanimously in the subcommittee, I mean, in the committee and the full Senate. I mean, the full House, not relevant. I don't want to bring that up. This is you make an excellent point. We change House bills all the time. And you have made a motion to make it for an amendment. We had a second, so it's properly before us. Senator Carrozza?
I would support the amendment. If the amendment does not go forward, what I was hearing is that maybe there would be a commitment from those on this committee. I thought I was hearing Senator Hester and Senator Harris say we would work on something for next session, and a commitment, because we don't seem to have a process for how we're, I guess, if we get 2 from the House, 2 from the Senate, a commitment that this would be, you know, on for next session. So I just trying to, you know, see where we are with the kind of our overall process when it comes to commemoratives.
Okay, Senator Gallion, I will make this point. This whole thing about having criteria for I think that point, this whole, you know, illustrates a lot of that, and I think that's definitely an interim conversation that needs to be had. Part of the challenge here was committee jurisdiction on commemoratives shifted this year, because we were going to have that conversation, and then they created a brand new committee, but that's not germane to our discussion or the amendment. Okay, Senator Gallion, and then we'll get maybe Senator Attar.
First off, to respond to Senator Carrozza, you know, when we talk about a commitment for next year, we have this thing coming up in June and then November, which is called elections. There's no guarantee that most of us are definitely going to be back here next year. We need to do this right now, in my opinion, not wait until what might happen a year from now with different representatives here, number one. And just number two, Mr. Chair, I did look up the vote, and there were 7 no votes on the third reading.
I stand corrected then. I stand corrected. I got bad intel. Okay. Senator Attar.
Mr. Chair, I'm a no vote on the amendment, and I just want to explain why. So I'm thinking back to the hearing, and a lot of what was discussed in the hearing is that the reason why these 2 months are put together in one bill is because these 2 cultures, these 2 religions have seen an increase in hate crimes. And it's no secret, I'm Jewish, but I'm also Iranian, and at home, the languages that I'm around constantly is Arabic and Farsi. And right now, I have family in Israel who are in bomb shelters, and I also have an uncle and family in Iran who we can't get in touch with because of what's going on, and they're cut off from the world. So I understand from both perspectives. I've seen many people don't even look at me and don't even know what religion I am because of it's more to me about culture, and they see what my culture is. And because of my culture, hate crimes have increased for people of both of these religions. So adding in another religion, I understand the concept, but I don't think it's appropriate for this bill, because this bill, the idea of it was to, to kind of combat the increase in hate crime that we've seen against these two cultures. So I would ask my colleagues to vote against this amendment and to support the bill, which I asked to move favorable after we address this amendment. Thank you.
Okay, Senator Gallion?
I agree with the amount of persecution to our friends in the Jewish community that we've seen since October 7th, a couple years ago. It seems like it's gotten worse. I agree 110% with that. But all religions have had persecution. Going back to Paul in the New Testament, in the Christian religion, Christians have been persecuted for hundreds of years as well. I know, I don't disagree with anything my colleague said there, but all religions can see persecution. And, and what we might be seeing brought to attention right now because of the war and everything else might involve one religion, but there could be a time down the road where you see Christians even more greatly persecuted. So I think that this amendment would be, in a way, forward-looking and say that all religions can be persecuted against, including one that may not be as much right now.
Fair, good discussion, good debate. I think it's time to take a roll call on the Gallion amendment.
All right, Senator
That's the only way
Hester.
we've got to deal with it.
Senator Hester, no. Senator Gallion?
Yes.
Senator Gallion, yes. Senator Watson? Senator Watson, no. Senator Attar? Senator Attar, no. Senator Harris? Senator Harris, no. Senator Brooks?
No.
Senator Brooks, no. Senator Carozza?
Yes.
Senator Carozza, yes. Senator Washington? Senator Washington abstains. Senator Simonaire?
I vote aye.
Senator Simonaire, yes. And Senator Feldman?
Okay, I'll vote no on the amendment, so the amendment fails. Okay, we still have okay, we got a motion on the bill, which is clean. There are no amendments. Is there a second? Then we'll take discussion. Second from Senator Brooks. Senator Washington, you want to weigh on the underlying bill?
Yes, so it was interesting, thank you for clarifying that this is about the movement towards anti-Semitism. And again, typically these are celebrations of culture, but I think I just want to let the committee understand, or just from my perspective, my understanding, it is that Jewish identities and culture are all over the world. I mean, we have Europe, Ashkenazi Jews, we have Middle East, North America, we have Sephardic, Mizrahi, we have Ethiopian, Beth Israel, Jewish people are of all races, and it's difficult to really say a set of practices that are distinctly Jewish that are not religious. And again, I understand that there's that thing, but that the thing that is being, yeah, so that's my question. So what are cultural practices that are not associated with the religion that is shared across all who identify as Jewish? I would like to know what that is. And that's a real question. And also, just so the committee knows, because of my questions, I have gotten lots of emails, people coming into my office accusing me of anti-Semitism. There's been this huge kind of push by folks who are advocating for this. And so, but I still have to maintain that I understand, yeah.
Okay, it's a healthy conversation we're having. Senator Tarr?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to be clear that I wasn't just saying that there's an increase in hate crimes against Jews, it's also against Muslims, which is why this bill is together. So just wanted to be clear about that. It's for both religions that we've seen it.
Okay, anybody else want to weigh in? Okay, we had a motion and a second. Roll call on the underlying bill. There's no amendments.
All right, Senator Hester?
Yes on the bill.
Senator Hester, yes. Senator Gallion? No. Senator Gallion, no. Senator Watson?
Yes.
Senator Watson, yes. Senator Attar? Yes. Senator Attar, yes. Senator Harris? Senator Harris, yes. Senator Brooks?
Yes.
Senator Brooks, yes. Senator Carozza?
Yes.
Senator Carozza, yes. Senator Washington?
No.
Senator Washington, no. Senator Simonaire?
I think I'm going to abstain.
Senator Simonaire abstains, and Senator Feldman?
Okay, Senator Feldman votes yes. Bill passes 7 to 1 abstention. Let's go to next bill. Okay, let's, one bill, okay, thank you, Devin. Okay, April, let's go down to the Foley bill, House Bill 1221, because we had, I think, passed unanimously out of this committee the cross file. So why don't we take that up, HB 1221.
Right, yeah. So House Bill 1221, Public Safety, Short-Term Rental Units, Safety. The Jillian and Lindsay Weiner Short-Term Rental Safety Act. This bill is identical to Senate Bill 624, is unanimously passed by this committee. Bill requires the inclusion of specified fire prevention and detection equipment in all short-term rental units. I just missed this when I compiled yesterday's consent calendar, so easy bill.
So this could have been on yesterday's consent calendar, but we missed it. Okay, is there a motion? Yeah, this is 1221, which is in the same form as a bill that we had here that passed unanimously. Senator Harris moves the bill, 1221. Is there a second? Senator Brooks. Okay, all in favor, House Bill 1221, raise your hand. All opposed? That motion carries. Okay, let's next move to House Bill 546. This was also a cross file. We didn't move the cross file, but House Bill 546, Stacy.
Okay. House Bill 546, Primary and Secondary Education, Educator Professional Development, Course on Wellbeing and Flourishing. This bill requires the Maryland State Department of Education by July 1, 27 to make available a continuing professional development course for all school personnel and administrators on educator well-being and flourishing that meets specified requirements. To fulfill this requirement, MSD may develop a course, adapt an existing course, or make available an existing course developed by a third party. However, MSDE is only required to provide a course if it can do so at no cost or at a comparable cost to similar courses that provides as determined by MSDE. There is one amendment offered by Senator Feldman. You can find that on page 3 of your packet, and this corrects terminology by striking the continuing from continuing professional development.
Okay, any questions? Okay, anybody want to move that amendment? Okay, Senator Harris moves that amendment. Second? Yeah, it was actually, I put in the bill, but there were other priorities that I thought were, okay, just on this technical amendment, that's where we are. We had a motion from Senator Harris, Senator Brooks. Okay, all in favor of just this amendment on that one word? Raise your hand. All opposed? Okay, now, okay, Senator Harris moves the bill. We'll take questions. Second, and then we'll have some discussion. Senator Brooks. Okay, Senator Carozza on the bill, House Bill 546. Questions for Stacy?
That's the hearing we had.
Yeah, we had a hearing on the bill.
What bill number was that?
The cross-file was Senate Bill 726, and nobody opposed the bill. There was no opposition to the bill.
Okay.
I think including MSDE supported the bill. Okay. Any further questions for Stacy on, again, House Bill 546? Okay. All in favor of House Bill 546, raise your hand. All opposed, motion carries. Let's go, because there are a couple bills that may take more discussion. I'm leaving towards the end here. Okay, let's go back up to the list, because just candidly, the SB 181 and the 643, and then the House counterparts, let's leave those for the last. So let's go up House Bill 35. Let's start up there from Delegate Foley. April?
Bill 35, Local Government Regulatory Powers, Regulation of Invasive Trees. House Bill 35 is substantively identical to Senate Bill 266, which passed the Senate unanimously. The bill authorizes the governing body of a county or municipality to regulate through an ordinance listed invasive trees and tree of heaven, including by prohibiting a person from selling listed invasive trees, planting listed invasive trees, and allowing listed invasive trees to grow on the person's property. The differences between the House and Senate bills are purely stylistic. However, I would recommend going with the House version, which included technical corrections, such as specifying that the bill applies to trees listed on the prohibited invasive plants list, just a more specific designation of the invasive plants list. So yes, this is Brooks' bill. So the idea here would to move the House bill clean, and my understanding is that they're going to amend the Senate bill to reflect this.
Okay, you got Senator Brooks, you had the cross file, right? So we want to move it clean, is what you're saying. Would you like to move that cross file? Yeah, move the bill. Okay, Senator Brooks wants to move the cross file of his bill that we've already passed. We're talking House Bill 35. Is there a second? Second. Second from Senator Harris. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of House Bill 35, raise your hand. All opposed, motion carries. Let's go next to House Bill 57 from Delegate Vogel.
House Bill
Stacy?
57, Public Schools Maryland Civic Excellence Program established. As passed, this bill is substantially similar to Senate Bill 204 as passed by the Senate. If you recall, it establishes the Maryland Civic Excellence Program in which the local school systems may choose to participate to recognize the civic readiness and civic engagement of public high school students. By the 27-28 school year, the State Board of Education, in consultation with experts and stakeholders, must adopt regulations to establish the criteria and requirements for awarding a seal of civic excellence to a qualified student who attends a public high school in a participating local school system. The only difference between the two bills is this next part, where the House required SBE's criteria to include a capstone project requirement as specified. There are no amendments.
Okay, Vice Chair Kagan had a question.
Thanks. I was the Senate cross-file, and I think the House did a really good job. And so unless there needs to be more conversation, I would move that we recede and take the House version, conform the bill, sorry, that we take the House bill as is. They did a good job. Sorry, I'm all
Okay, so
inside
we
out.
had a motion from Vice Chair Kagan on this cross-file of her bill, which we had already passed, second from Senator Harris. Okay, further discussion on HB 57. Okay, all in favor of House Bill 57, raise your hand. All opposed, that motion carries. Let's go down to Delegate, yeah, sure.
So conforming SB 204?
No, this Senate bill was already passed, and the House they intend to conform it to the House version as they passed it, which would add this capstone project.
So it's already conformed.
Is, yes.
It's already conformed.
I don't know
I got
if
it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, let's go to Delegate Janelle Wilkins' bill, House Bill 115. Stacy.
House Bill 115, Election Law, Individuals Released from State Correctional Facilities, Automatic Restoration of Voter Registration. This bill is identical to Senate Bill 241 as passed by the Senate, and it requires the Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services to electronically transmit to the State Board of Elections on a monthly basis information on individuals released from incarceration at a state correctional facility in the immediately preceding month in order for SBE to then restore the voter registration of such individuals who were previously registered to vote in the state before being incarcerated and whose new residential addresses are in the state. This wasn't on the consent calendar because the vote was not unanimous. In this committee, the vote was 7-3, and on the Senate floor, it was 31-13.
Okay, so this was, there were some dissenting votes. Any questions just for Stacy on HB 115, which is, again, substantially similar to.
It's identical.
Yeah, this was an Augustine bill on the cross-file side. The questions? Then we could take a, is there a motion?
Second.
Okay, motion from Senator Harris, second from Vice Chair. Okay, why don't we'll do a roll call on this one, make sure everybody is on the record on this.
All right, Senator Kagan?
Aye.
Senator Kagan, yes. Senator Hester? Yes. Senator Hester, yes. Senator Gallion? Senator Gallion, no. Senator Watson? Yes. Senator Watson, yes. Senator Attar? Yes. Senator Attar, yes. Senator Harris? Senator Harris, yes. Senator Brooks? Yes. Senator Brooks, yes. Senator Carosa? No. Senator Carosa, no. Senator Washington? Yes. Senator Washington, yes. Senator Simonaire? Senator Simonaire, no. And Senator Feldman?
Okay, yes, same, 7-3, 8-3, 8-3. Okay, House Bill 250, April.
House Bill 250, Environment, Appropriation or Use of Water and Dam Safety Enforcement. House Bill 250 is substantively identical to Senate Bill 108 as it passed the Senate. This departmental bill authorizes the Maryland Department of the Environment to impose an administrative penalty for a violation of provisions of the Environment article relating to the appropriation or use of waters, reservoirs, and dams. The only difference between the House and Senate bill is that the House updated the title to reflect the narrowed scope of the bill. If you recall, this bill, there was a floor amendment to take out the enforcement provisions related to wetlands and waterways. When that was offered, they failed to update the title. House updated the title. I would also note that the vote was not unanimous in committee or on the floor, so it's not a consent calendar bill.
Okay, everybody got that? I'm just trying to, okay, so is there a motion on this bill from Senator Harris? Second? Is there a second? From Senator Brooks. Okay, again, this is substantially similar to a bill that we voted last time, but it was not unanimous. So we're going to take another roll call on this one. Lamoria, again, we're on House Bill, specifically House Bill 250.
All right, Senator Kagan?
Aye.
Senator Kagan, yes. Senator Hester? Yes. Senator Hester, yes. Senator Gallion? No. Senator Gallion, no. Senator Watson? Yes. Senator Watson, yes. Senator Attar? Yes. Senator Attar, yes. Senator Harris? Senator Harris, yes. Senator Brooks? Yes. Senator Brooks, yes. Senator Carozza? Yes. Senator Carozza, no. Senator Washington?
Yes.
Senator Washington, yes. Senator Simonaire, yes. Is it yes? Senator Feldman?
Okay, yes. Motion carries 8-3. Let's go to,
9-2.
or 8-2, okay. Let's go House Bill 255, which again, this is another departmental bill. This one's from DNR. April?
House Bill 255, Natural Resources, Pamela J. Kelly, Tree Mendus, Maryland Program Alterations. House Bill 255 is nearly identical to Senate Bill 164 as unanimously passed by the Senate. This departmental bill alters the stated purpose of the Pamela J. Kelly Tremendous Maryland program. The House and the Senate passed just like slightly different versions of the language. If you want to see it, I actually included the House version and the Senate versions on pages 1 and 2 of the voting packet. Basically, the House bill, just to make it very clear that that maintaining trees is an authorized use of this program. It says promoting, the purpose of the program is promoting community participation in tree planting and stewardship and the planting and maintaining of native trees and shrubs through community forestry activities. The department prefers the House version for what that's worth.
And this bill did pass the cross file passed unanimously out of the committee. So we have the House version that DNR prefers. Senate bill passed unanimously. Is there a motion? Okay, we'll take questions. Let's take a motion from Senator Harris. The Vice Chair is second. Senator Carozza. Again,
So
House Bill 255.
House Bill 255, so the only the difference is this amendment that you just, or is it amendment, is it just, this is their version?
It's different, slightly different language. So theirs just says promoting community participation in tree planting and stewardship and the planting and maintaining of native trees, whereas the Senate version just said promoting community participation in the planting and stewardship of native trees.
Okay.
So it's that additional and maintaining.
Okay, any other additional questions for April? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, House Bill 255, raise your hand. All opposed, motion carries. Okay, House Bill 288, Stacy.
House Bill 288, State Superintendent of Schools Prolonged State of Emergency Authority to Declare. This departmental bill authorizes the State Superintendent of Schools, rather than the governor, to declare a prolonged state of emergency for an event that prevents regular in-person attendance at a public school for at least 14 consecutive school days, thereby allowing a local school system to provide virtual instruction to affected students. The bill also establishes conditions under which the state superintendent may make such a declaration, specifies that nothing in the related subtitle may be construed to limit or interfere with the responsibilities of the Secretary of Health in the event of a public health emergency, and makes conforming changes. This is substantially similar to Senate Bill 218 as passed by the Senate. However, it added 2 additional items in their changes, that if an emergency threatens or affects a particular school within a local school system, the state superintendent may declare a prolonged state of emergency for that school. And the House added that the state of emergency may be terminated as specified by the General Assembly, the State Board of Education, or the state superintendent of schools. MSD was fine with those changes, and there was no opposition.
This is a cross-file had passed unanimously out of the committee. Okay, we got a motion, Senator Harris, second from the vice chair. Okay, all in favor, House Bill 288, raise your hand. All opposed? Motion. Okay, we've got 288, we've got 1 dissenting vote from Senator Carrozza. Okay, at the bottom, House Bill 578, we're going to hold. And then now let's go to House Bill 586 from Delegate Baylor.
House Bill 586, County Boards of Library Trustees, Membership Student Member. This bill authorizes a County Board of Library Trustees to provide for the selection of a student member. The bill also establishes the qualifications, term of office, and voting rights of the student member if selected. The bill is substantially similar to Senate Bill 535 as passed by this committee. The only difference is it extends eligibility to homeschool students. I spoke with Senator King. She was fine with that amendment as well. It was just not offered in this committee.
Okay, so she's good with the House version of,
Yes.
of the bill. We already passed the Senate version. Yes, Senator Carrozza?
I missed it. Did something about homeschools included?
Right, so right now, the bill only provides that a student member is only eligible if they go to a private or a public high school. And because this is a more community-oriented being in the library versus related to schools specifically, several of the stakeholders, including some of the public libraries, asked to include homeschool students in the eligibility criteria. The House bill does that.
The House bill does that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay. We had a motion? Senator Harris moves the bill. House bill, I'm sorry, with this amendment. House bill.
There's no amendment. This is
There's
just
no
the
amendment.
House
It's
bill.
clean. The amendment is, it's clean. Okay, 586, we had the motion. We had a second from Senator Carrozza. Okay, all in favor, House Bill 586, raise your hand. All opposed, motion carries. Let's go down to House Bill 1324. And April, I think this is cross-file of Senator Washington's bill, as I recall.
Senator Atars.
I mean, so this is Senator Hartar's bill. My apologies. Yes, 1324.
House Bill 1324, Baltimore City Natural Resources Archery Hunting Safety Zones. This is a cross-file of Senate Bill 872, which passed this committee unanimously. The bill decreases the archery hunting safety zone in Baltimore City from 150 yards to 50 yards from a dwelling, house, residence, church, or any other building or camp occupied by human beings. The difference is that the Senate bill was passed to include an amendment excluding legislative district 43A from this reduced safety zone. So it is up to this committee whether we want to amend the House bill to include that.
Okay. Okay, so we had that discussion about, okay, what Senator Tarr, Senator Washington. Here, put the mic.
I'll move to conform to the Senate bill.
Okay, so we have a motion to conform House Bill 1324 to the Senate bill that we did pass. Okay, there's a motion, second, all in favor, raise your hand. So it's been conformed, and now we can move the bill. Okay, so
favorable.
Senator Washington will move the bill as it's been conformed. Second from Senator Tarr. Okay, all in favor of the new version of House Bill 1324 with how we passed it out the first time, raise your hand. All opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Okay, so we're left with now are 2 bills, one dealing with Sunday hunting and the other dealing with lead ammo. And you see the Senate bill and then the cross files on the back. Okay, so let's
We'll start with the House bills since they're.
Yeah, let's start with the House bills that we have here in front of us. We've got, which one do you want to start with? Okay. Okay, let's start with the Guyton bill, the lead ammo bill. House Bill 1067. And April, you're going to describe what the bill does.
All right. House Bill 1067, hunting lead and lead-based ammunition phase-out. Although not listed as a cross-file, this bill is identical, or at least was as introduced, to Senate Bill 181, which was Senator Lewis Young's bill, which the committee has not yet moved. As amended by the House, House Bill 1067 requires the Department of Natural Resources to phase in a requirement that non-lead ammunition be used for the hunting of all game species by July 1st, 2030, subject to a requirement that the department authorize the use of lead ammunition for muzzle loaders, handguns, rifles, and shotguns if non-lead ammunition is not commercially available for the specific firearm. Just to delve a little bit more into how the House changed this, so how it's different from what we heard in the bill hearing. The House delayed the effective date of the full ban by 1 year until 2030. Added a maximum $750 civil fine for a first offense to be effective until January 1st, 2031, and struck the prescribed schedule for implementing the ban. DNR has provided a letter to the committee proposing a very similar schedule. Additionally, there are a few amendments in your voting packet. These versions were drafted to the Senate bill, but I have confirmed with the sponsors that they do want to offer them on this bill as well. So you're going to have to sort of flip around in your packet a little bit here, but it should be the last 3 pages of the voting packet. The first one from Senator Hester would require the Department of Natural Resources to allow the use of lead ammunition by an individual hunting deer under the authority of a deer management permit up until June 30th, 2031. So they'd have 1 additional year than what is the general sort of deadline under the bill. And then there's also an amendment being offered by Senator Gallion on the next page, which would strike the substantive provisions of the bill and instead require the Department of Natural Resources to conduct a study on the use of lead and non-lead ammunition in hunting as specified. The department would be required to report its findings and recommendations to the General Assembly on or before October 1st, 2027.
Okay, so we got amendment from Senator Hester and an amendment from Senator Gallion. Senator Hester, do you want to speak to your amendment first, and then we'll hear from Senator Gallion on his amendment?
Well, this amendment came after I talked to the farmers from both Montgomery County and Howard County, who were very concerned about this bill and about, the cost based on the amount of ammunition they already had, and they wanted a little extra time to use up that. They go through more ammunition than like the average hunter, and so it's. I think that some of the fiscal estimates that we heard about how much extra it was going to cost people, that could be 10 times more for farmers. And so that was, giving them a little extra time was my intention with the amendment.
Okay, any questions for Senator Hester on her amendment? Yeah.
So if you look on the last 3 pages of the voting packet, it says, I've handwritten HB 1067 at the top. It says APRM, and then it's Senator Hester.
Okay.
The department shall authorize the use of lead ammunition by an individual hunting deer under the authority of a deer management permit on or before June 30th, 2031.
Okay, Senator Attar, questions on the amendment? We're just on the Hester amendment, and then we'll go to the Gallion amendment next.
Thank you. Senator Hester, I discussed today with the sponsor an amendment similar to this. Is this the amendment that she was okay with? Did you have a conversation with her about it? I'm not sure.
We're talking about the Senate sponsor or the House sponsor? We got, the two bills.
I'm sorry, the Senate sponsor.
I had this drafted like 4 weeks ago.
Okay.
So I had mentioned it to her. I don't know what you were talking with her
Okay,
about.
I'll reach out quickly. Thanks.
Okay, additional questions for April or Senator Hester? Yes, Senator Gallion.
I'll support this amendment, but I just want to bring the committee's attention, so this is on ground that's under a crop damage permit, or under the permits, right? Deer management permit. So as someone who has experienced crop loss and lost money by deer just last fall, I can tell you this is helpful for the areas that are under those permits, but neighboring properties that may not be covered under this, I would still like to see those deers eliminated as well. So I just want to kind of put that out there, that this is not quite as broad reaching as I think I would like, but it's still somewhat of a little improvement, so I would support it.
Okay. Any additional questions, just again on the Hester amendment? Okay, well, Senator Hester, you want to move your amendment?
Yeah, I move the amendment.
Okay, got a motion from the sponsor of the amendment, a second from Senator Harris. Further discussion? Okay, all in favor of the Hester amendment, raise your hand. Anybody? Okay, we have one abstention from Senator Attar, and anybody else? Just on the amendment, just on the Hester amendment. And Senator Kagan abstain? Okay, we have two abstentions from Vice Chair Kagan, Senator Attar, two abstentions. Okay, that motion does carry. Okay, now we'll go to the Gallion amendment. Senator Gallion, we're going to,
I would just note his makes
Yeah.
the other one a little moot, just because it strikes the bill and makes it a study, but.
oh, okay,
In the order we went in, so.
okay.
I addressed a lot of concerns when we had, the Senate version of this bill was on the voting list, 3 or 4 times earlier in session, and it never, disappeared for a long while till tonight. First thought maybe it's another April Fool's joke, but I see it's not. So, I think we need to take a harder look at this. I brought up a lot of these issues. I don't want to repeat a lot of the stuff, but, if our main concern is this lead out in the environment and that contamination, I would look more at some of our aging bridges as more of a culprit for some of this stuff. We got examples like 28th Street and Orleans Street structures shedding at levels far above safety thresholds and entering surrounding areas. An I-95 overpass in Anne Arundel County is another example. These findings highlight that significant sources of lead exposure still exist in public infrastructure. If those risks are not yet fully addressed, it raises a fair question. Why are we placing new burdens on hunters instead of first prioritizing the most immediate and concentrated sources of exposure? If the goal is truly reducing lead, policy should focus on where the problem is the greatest rather than singling out one group while broader challenges remain. So that would kind of, that's a similar issue there. I think that the study is a smart way to go forward. If anybody wants to see the articles on what I just referenced, I have them here with me. And another thing that this would help address, another concern I have, just in the last week talking to some friends in the hunting community, they told me that, these copper bullets sometimes don't work the best in these guns that have always used lead ammo. So what an indirect result of this bill could be a bunch of new guns being purchased. So if you're saying, oh, this gun works better with copper ammo, I got to get a new gun, you could see thousands and thousands of new guns purchased. So more guns on the street, if that's a concern for any of my colleagues. But I just think we need to take a broad look at this thing, really study it. There really hasn't been a good study on this. I mean, we heard data from California where they dealt with this issue because of condors. Last time I checked, there's no condors in Maryland. So to me, this year, the appropriate way to move forward, first and foremost, is with this comprehensive study. And I'd like to move that study amendment.
Okay, Senator Gallion's moved his amendment, which would make a study. We've got a second from Senator Carrozza. Discussion? Yes, Senator.
For the maker of the amendment. I mean, this doesn't go into
Just the
effect until
amendment.
2030. Couldn't we
He
just,
moved it
Couldn't we, I mean, striking the bill is, you know, it and making a study is one thing, but couldn't we have a study anyways and then come back and like tweak it if we had to?
Well, that's a very good, that's an excellent question. So the study would be July 1, 2027. So you would have the sessions of 2028 and the session of 2029. If the study results come back and says we need to ban this, after you get the information, you come back in one of the two following sessions, and you'd still be by that 2030. So this allows us to get information and data up front before we pass legislation. Even though it's going into effect in 2030, I would much rather have the information by July 1st, 27, and then you can look at it with all that data by the session of 2028 and time before that 2030.
I do just want to note, timeline-wise, that the bill is, as drafted, it's a phase-in. So the full ban has to be in place by 2030, but the department and the original bill had sort of a specific phase-in timeline in it. The House took that out and is just kicking it to the DNR to come up with that timeline. They have indicated that, you know, the first phase-in would be July 1st, 2027 for wild turkey hunting. The following year, pen-reared birds on regulated shooting areas, then upland game birds, 2029, and then 2030, all other species. So there, just in terms of thinking of how this study would work with all that, just wanted to put that out there.
Do we have a copy of what you just said?
That was provided to the chair and the vice chair. I mean, I can send it around.
But when does the first thing happen? What year?
The first is July 1st, 2027.
And when was your study due?
July 1st, 2027.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess the other point is that the department's doing this anyways. Like, so what is?
No.
No.
So that is what the department has indicated their timeline would be should this bill pass.
Should the bill pass, that will be there.
Okay. Other questions? Senator Carrozza?
Thank you. I do support the amendment in the study, and since it's been a while since we focused on this, I think the hearing was back in early February, I wanted to remind my colleagues that the Congressional Sportsman Foundation, if you read through their testimony, they talk about one of the long-term effects of the ban would be extremely detrimental to conservation funding, which is directly driven by hunters. Also, and I think we've seen this in other areas, encouraging hunters to make the voluntary switch to lead alternatives is an approach that has worked in other areas. And one example I will point out is that composting in Ocean City and Worcester County is not mandatory, but we have a voluntary program that's going, that started a couple years ago with a couple restaurants and now is up to more than 20-some restaurants and hotels participating. And part of it is when patrons learn that these businesses are voluntarily taking it upon themselves to do this, they tend to patronize those businesses. My point is, voluntary switches that have been successful. Also, I wanted to point out in the Congressional Sportsman Foundation testimony that as of 2025, there were 113,137 certified paid hunting license holders in Maryland that generated $6,301,000 in hunting license sales. So, you know, again, when we start to talk about the the impact of that. Also wanted to point out, and I'm sure Senator Gallion could add to this, but the Maryland Farm Bureau, highlighted in their testimony that lead ammunition remains a lawful, effective, affordable, and widely used tool. Again, that this also puts, and I'm very sensitive to this because I have Winks Sporting Goods in Princess Anne in Somerset County. with the Virginia and Delaware just miles away from this business, that this ban puts us at a disadvantage compared to neighboring states. Again, to me, that's what you would look at in a study before you would move forward with, a ban in statute. So for these reasons, and I would point my colleagues to these compelling testimony, I support the study.
Okay, additional questions? Okay, well, let's roll it. Some of these times, like, we just got to have tough votes on bills and see where things stand. So we have the Gallion Amendment, which would convert this to a study. We had a motion. We had a properly seconded motion. And Lemuria, let's go around the horn.
Senator Kagan?
No.
Senator Kagan, no. Senator Hester? Senator Hester passes. Senator Gallion?
Yes.
Senator Gallion, yes. Senator Watson? Yes. Senator Watson, yes. Senator Attar? Senator Attar, no. Senator Harris?
No.
Senator Harris, no. Senator Brooks?
No.
Senator Brooks, no. Senator Carozza?
Yes.
Senator Carozza, yes. Senator Washington?
This is on the amendment.
Just on the Gallion Amendment study. Yes on the study? Okay.
All right. Senator Washington, yes. Senator Simonaire? Senator Simonaire, yes. And Senator Feldman?
You're going to come back to me, right?
Yeah, we're going back to Senator Hester. Okay, Okay, I'm going to go, this is on the Gallion Amendment. I'll go no, so it's currently 5-5. So Senator Hester, what do you want to do? Oh, that's too late.
I would have preferred doing the study and the bill. But I think we've got enough time, so I think we just have
I'll make a suggestion. Yes, we are in the middle of a vote, which is deadlock 5-5. If the senator, if the senator abstains, then it's a 5-5 vote, and we can revisit this tomorrow, which we will be voting tomorrow. I mean, that's one option, or Senator Hester, you can do a vote one way or the other. I mean, we got, we do have the options here. Not
on the amendment. If we're back here next year, though, we've got the study, right? When do we get the study?
July 1, 2027. American Heritage Hunting.
And while you're doing it, Vice Chair Kagan wanted to explain her votes. Why don't you ponder?
April, I might need your help here. I can't remember whether it was chlorpyrifos or PFAS or one of those chemicals that's impossible to explain. And we were waiting on a federal study and waiting on a federal study. And there are people who said we should wait on the federal study. We need more data. But the data was clear that it was toxic, that it was poisonous, and we decided to move forward before the federal study came out because we wanted to protect Marylanders. My worry in this is people who get their food from at a homeless pantry, people who are in a homeless shelter, they're eating lead. And the idea that we could save them a year or 2 or 3 sooner and not be feeding them toxic food just seems like the reason to start moving forward. Senator Gallion, I think the idea of a concurrent study or having your bill, you bring a bill next year to look further into it. But in my opinion, and the reason I voted no on the amendment and I'm supporting the bill, is that I think we should move forward now with dispatch. The technology, it's not that complicated. We learned that it wasn't that much more expensive, and I think it's the right thing to protect people who eat the results of a hunting expedition.
Sure. Senator Gallion, anybody can explain their vote.
So to explain my,
We have a 5-5, and
so to explain my vote, when you talk about federal things, that's one thing. I mentioned California with the condors. This amendment, the reason I voted for this amendment is because this makes a Maryland-specific study. You can use whatever data you want, but it's looking at actually our Maryland hunters, it's looking at scientific evidence regarding, wildlife populations, looking at commercial cost comparisons. We heard earlier about a concern that these bullets might cost way more than we originally were led to believe in this hearing. Or lead alternatives, I should say. So this amendment addresses those concerns, and it does it in a Maryland-specific way, and it's a smart way to move forward, and that's why I voted yes on the amendment. Thank you.
Okay, Senator Watson.
I appreciate the things that your bill does, but at the end of the day, I thought what we were trying to figure out is deer in the population that is being eaten containing lead. Now, how the heck do we capture that type of information to know if it's an issue or not? I don't really care about the cost of the ammo and all of those things. Number one, can you read it out for me? I can't see it.
The study shall include, number one, an assessment of available scientific evidence regarding the impacts of lead ammunition on wildlife populations, including scavengers and other species, and any demonstrable population level effects in the state. So that would be right there in the amendment.
So that means some entity, not MDE, I guess, but some entity has to go take physical samples of deer, right?
You have to ask her.
Read it, I would say no. I mean, so there's a lot of these studies have been done.
Okay.
That have mostly in other states,
Okay.
but as I would read this, it would be a sort of a survey of the existing scientific research. I would say that New York has done a very similar study to what is sort of outlined here, but obviously not
Okay.
with the Maryland-specific sort of economic impact analysis.
Yeah.
But a lot of the health study information
It's already been done.
out there.
It's out there. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, let's go to Senator Harris, and then we're going to have to make some decision here.
Appreciate that, Mr. Chair. So I explain my vote. So the reason why I'm a no on the amendment for the study. In this bill, I feel as though we still should move forward with the actual bill. Main reason, my colleague, one of the examples that he gave when we were over here chatting about it was that, yes, there's might be lead in bridges across the state of Maryland, but we don't eat bridges, right? And so the key here was to protect food that may have lead in it, right? I'm not going to say it has lead in it. It may have lead in it. I'm not no doctor. I'm not no scientist. I'm just going based off the studies that was provided. And so I think we should move forward with the actual bill. Maybe if we need to do a study, then a separate thing. I don't think we should stop everything, stop what's going on here, because obviously there might be a potential of harm being done. We don't know. I'd rather stay on the side of caution and protect as many mariners as we possibly can.
Senator Washington.
Thank you. I misread the amendment. I didn't realize you struck the whole bill. I thought it was going to be, I apologize. So I have to change my vote to a no on the amendment, so.
Okay, well, with that, the motion, the amendment fails because of that change of vote. So Senator Hester, you can.
So I will abstain.
Okay.
Just for the purposes of committee vote, but I think Mary and I were thinking on the same wavelength, because I actually read, if you looked at all the studies that the sponsor gave us, there were studies that said lead was bad. There were studies that says people were banning other things. There were studies that were saying, it was the fish that were killing the eagles in California, whatever it was. It's not clear to me. It wasn't clear to me that this was, I don't know.
Okay.
I think a study would be good, but I was going to vote for the study and for the bill.
Okay, the amendment is okay, because we still have to make a, we got to deal with this is just on the amendment.
Yes, to on the amendment, and to explain my vote. The reason, to me, that you have the study is so that you actually then would know the impact of the ban. So talking about moving forward with a ban without a study specific to Maryland is not good policy making.
Second.
Okay, we do have a motion on the underlying bill with the Hester amendment. So it's a motion on the bill as amended. We're talking about the House bill. And specifically, we're talking about House Bill 1067. And do we have a second?
As second.
Okay, from the
as
vice,
amended.
with the Hester amendment on it. Okay, let's just do a roll call. Sure, absolutely, on the underlying bill,
So-
as amended by the Hester amendment.
So on the previous dialogue with my colleague, so the paint chips coming off, getting in a waterway, animals drink out of the water, it ends up, children swim in the water. So that is a big, of course, we're not eating the lead chips coming off the bridge, but they end up in the waterway, which can contaminate that. So that is kind of my response to that. Another thing, in the House bill, I think the fine is like $750. Is that correct?
Right, but that's actually a lower fine than the default. So the reason they put that fine is, that's a civil fine. The default penalty for any violation of the hunting rules and regulations, and let me pull it up so that I get it totally right. Default is a misdemeanor and a fine, I believe, up to $1,500.
So it could be up to $1,500?
That would be yeah, and that's the default. So that's the $750 is actually the lower penalty.
So that would be the lowest penalty. If
No,
someone's.
that would be a lower ceiling. So it's up to $750.
Okay, I
But
understand
that
the
is
lower ceiling.
only in effect until, as the House bill has it, only in effect until, I believe, 2031. And then that lower penalty goes away and you go back up to the default, which is that cap of $1,500.
So it's the lower cap on the penalty up to 2031, then the penalty cap raises after that.
Correct.
Okay. So that's problematic. You got, folks out and have, maybe they had some ammo by this year that they're still, haven't gotten rid of yet. And they get, and that goes back to originally when we had, gosh, it seems like an eternity ago, doesn't it? When we first had this on a voting list on the Senate crossfile, some of those same concerns, still, I think, ring true today. You look, I think that's a high amount, but, I mentioned it a couple months ago, DNR turned them into the bullet police. I don't know how closely they're going to regulate this stuff or how aggressive they're going to be, but it's just another thing with our hunters that they have that's going to be working against them, looking over their shoulder all the time. So, they'll have, it will, as I mentioned a moment ago, will add, you'll probably see a big increase in gun sales in the state once this is passed. So I guess the gun dealers will be happy with this bill, but I just think this is bad policy. We had an opportunity, we could really look at this, do a state-specific study. Unfortunately, we didn't do that, and I could obviously support the bill with that, but the way it is now, this is just bad policy, and I can't vote for it. Thank you.
Okay, let's take a, okay. Okay, Senator Brooks. And then,
Yeah,
and I think we need to take a vote one way or the other.
Yeah, but I would just say this, I can understand where you're coming from, Senator, but we know that lead in any form is not good for you, good for the individual, and when we go out and we hunt, and a lot of that, the ammunition of choice is lead, I understand that, and then that's used for killing deer. Matter of fact, I just had some venison a couple of weeks ago, and I learned that, yeah, they use lead, So, but in any form, it's not good for us. And this is just a way to just sort of wean us off that. I remember the same argument was made before with DDT many years ago. Might be before some of you guys' time, but we were able to survive that ban, and we moved on. So, just a comment.
Okay. Okay, let's get some resolution here. We had a motion and a second on the underlying bill with the Hester amendment. Take a roll call.
All right, Senator Kagan?
Aye.
Senator Kagan, yes. Senator Hester? Yes. Senator Hester, yes. Senator Gallion?
No.
Senator Gallion, no. Senator Watson? Yes. Senator Watson, yes. Senator Attar? Yes. Senator Attar, yes. Senator Harris? Senator Harris, yes. Senator Brooks?
Yes.
Senator Brooks, yes. Senator Carrizo? No. Senator Carrizo, no. Senator Washington? Yes. Senator Washington, yes. No. Senator Salmonere, no. Senator Feldman?
Okay, yes, what's the bill carries,
8-3.
and with the amendment from Senator Hester. Okay, we have the Sunday hunting bill. I'm going to propose that we,
Can we do the,
oh, yes, before we move the hunting bill till tomorrow, let's do the cross file. Can we move to conform the Senate bill to what we just did with the House bill and have everybody's vote count the same? Is everybody okay with that? I agree. Okay, a motion, a second. Okay, all in favor of that conforming vote counts the same, raise your hand. Okay, that's going to complete our work for today. Tomorrow, though, we will take up this Sunday hunting bill, and so that, along with some other bills, okay? Everybody good? Yes, Senator Hester.
Like, I just had some.
Is who here?
Paul Petito, DNR.
Is he still here?
Yes.
Oh, there he is. Come on up here, Paul.
I was wondering if we could ask him a few, since he's here, could we ask
Sure.
him a few questions?
About the Sunday hunting?
Well, I mean, isn't it better than asking him tomorrow? And-
Yes, we are definitely going to take up the Sunday hunting bill tomorrow. So,
I don't know, does everybody hate me then?
everybody, tell us who you are.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Madam Vice Chair, Paul Petito, Assistant Secretary for Natural Resources, for Land Resources at DNR.
Senator Hester, you had a question or two for? Okay, let's do it.
So, my first question is,
I just got
if you guys don't want to hear this, you can leave. That's totally fine with me. Does the deer management permit, does it apply in the counties that are currently exempt? This new deer management permit?
The bill as amended from the House?
Yes.
So the way the bill is amended in the House, Howard, Prince George's, and Baltimore counties remain out of everything except for the 10-415 provision for deer management permits.
Okay.
The answer is yes. I think, I'm trying to remember how you phrased the
So
question.
this would in fact bring Sunday hunting back into Howard County on Sundays under the new deer management permit?
This has been in place, so Howard, Prince George's, and Baltimore counties, actually statewide, since 2008, it's been authorized that they can shoot on the crop damage permits.
But there's a new permit. It's not the crop damage permit. It's a new deer management permit, which goes beyond farmland.
And the way it's amended, it does not, the amendment in the House specifically excludes Prince George's, Howard, and Baltimore counties, except for fox chasing, released birds, and the raptor hunters, the folks who use birds of prey to hunt. So it does not bring in the 10206 new permit.
It does not.
It does not.
Counsel, can you confirm? Because I heard him say two different things.
Well, there's two different permits, Senator. That's where it's confusing. There's the longstanding deer management permit, and then
Right.
there's the new ones being proposed in the bill.
Okay.
Howard, Prince George's, and Baltimore counties are not in the new permit in the bill
Fabulous. Okay.
because of the House amendment. Because at the bottom, it says on page, let me find the amended version, sorry. So on page 14, line 26 at the bottom, that the act may not be construed to authorize DNR to allow Sunday hunting in Baltimore County, Howard County, or Prince George's County, except, and then there's the 4 exceptions. Those exceptions are unarmed sport of fox chasing, the released bird operators, which frankly don't exist in those 3 counties, and the bird of prey folks, the folks who hunt, the 2 people that hunt with owls and hawks and whatnot.
Okay, that makes me feel better. When you issue the regulation, so for example, Montgomery County, it has the 1030 permit right now. So you would issue regulations that would then allow them to have hunting until 1030 on Sundays. What happens over the next 3 years if Montgomery County wants to change? Like, they either want to go like, hey, we don't want hunting before noon, or we want hunting only until 8 a.m. What is the process by which Montgomery County would go through DNR to make that change?
So we adopt regulations annually. The historical model is the delegation would send a letter to the secretary, and I can give you 100 examples of those that have happened through the years off the top of my head, saying, could you include us this way in your regulations process? And then ultimately ALR gets sort of a bite of that to make sure we got it right, DLS council, et cetera. So it's just a request from the delegation to the department.
The state delegation? Like the
No,
county?
your local delegation, sorry.
So it's not the county council, it's the state.
Well, we would defer. So I've had council, I've had county executives, right? It depends on the status, the structure of the county. But we would accept a letter from whatever authority decides that type of local decision. So it's just a letter. We do it all the time.
And so over the next 3 or 4 years, if the county wants to make a change, they send you a letter, and then
we adopt it in regulation.
You adopt it in regulation. Okay, that's good. As you're working on the regulations, like I've heard some consternation that the major constituency that DNR serves is the hunters. So as you adopt the regulations, how are you going to make sure that other stakeholder groups, bikers, kayakers, horseback riders, whoever they are that are also using the public lands, how will you engage them in the regulatory process?
So there's a couple answers to that question. One, the vast majority of the species we manage are not hunted or trapped. Like 93% of the things we're responsible for do not relate to the hunting community. So we have a huge commitment, and part of our operations is unrelated to hunting. We are one of the only jurisdictions in North America that has the animal rights community and what we call passive recreationalists who sit on our governor's appointed advisory body that helps guide us and make recommendations. We also have a really deliberate, protracted regulations stakeholder process that includes, I couldn't think of a stakeholder group who would have sort of an interest in this, who is not invited. That's a day-long, we buy them peaches, we all sit around and sort of arm wrestle over these, and then we come back and we do it again, and then of course we have the posting in the Maryland Register and the comment period there. We spent about 7 months doing our regulations as it relates to wildlife management.
Okay. What happens after the 3-year sunset? Like, I know in law, the law goes away, but you've got regulations in place. So what happens to those regulations that you develop over the next 3 years?
So the way we read the bill, as it's drafted, is this is essentially a study. It's a pilot opportunity for us to show that we can do this responsibly, sustainably, well enforced, and not put any of the species that are implicated in the bill at risk. Now, I'll hold my comments about what the House did because that makes the study sort of less meaningful, but we see this as requiring us to come back after the pilot is completed in 3 years and saying this is what we learned as it relates to public safety, hunter, non-hunter interaction, species sustainability and regulatory elements, associated with that. This is a sort of holistic look about the next level of Sunday hunting in Maryland.
Okay, you didn't answer my question though about the regulations. Like, do they get erased from the books?
They could get erased if the legislature says we did not succeed. Otherwise, what exists as of that day, we could continue.
So it's just a little bit of misinformation, I think, because it said to me, like, it was told me that there's a 3-year sunset on this bill. But if there's a 3-year sunset on the legislation, and then the legislature takes no action, the regs stay in place. Is that the? No, Section 1 goes away. I'm sorry, Section 2 goes away. Sorry, April.
Right, so the way it would work is that all the current restrictions on Sunday hunting, which say you can't have it and, unless it's this species or XY species, would snap back into place. So any regulations that were inconsistent with that would be void immediately.
Okay, that's helpful.
It would go back to what it is literally today.
But you can see how, I mean, I just heard two different things, so it is confusing. And why did you choose a 3-year study window? I mean, it seems like 2 years could be enough time.
Well, this isn't a departmental. I've been working on this for 25 years. I would have done the bill without the study because we've been looking at this for 25 years. So I think we have enough data, and frankly, we're the only jurisdiction left, right? Massachusetts, Governor Keeley just announced it, Pennsylvania last year, Delaware 2 years ago. It's us and Maine.
Right.
So there's a lot of data out there that says we can do this sustainably and appropriately.
So you would have no objection to having the study done in 2 years instead of 3?
No.
Okay. I've done with most of my questions.
Senator Carozza?
Missing a good bit. I mean, are we going to go through?
Yeah, these are just questions. We're not voting, we're not doing anything.
But so you're going to explain the bill like normal then tomorrow from the beginning? Okay.
Exactly.
Because, we're 1, 2, 3, 4. This is.
Yeah, you know what? Why don't we stop? Say, Chris, why don't you ask a question too, and let's wait for till tomorrow. Full explanation of the bill, and then you're going to be here tomorrow? Or somebody from DNR?
Do what it takes to be here, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Okay, why don't we do that? Is everybody good with that?
Thank you, and I really appreciate your being here. I just wanted, because I did participate in one of the meetings, the numerous meetings that you've had to get to this point, and I just thought, and I know there were different stakeholders involved in those meetings. Could you just give just a little recap? Because I attended one of them, but wasn't then realizing the extent of everything else that was being worked on to get to the point with the bill.
A recap of who attended, Senator?
Well, just, I mean, were the meetings held throughout the summer and the fall? And then, because we kind of reaching the point where we finally had a product.
Understood. Yeah, thanks for the question. So we were given an interim homework assignment, as I characterize it, by House leadership, and we started that immediately after session concluded, and then we spent arguably the next 8 months working with the stakeholder community. We briefed dozens of individual lawmakers at the request of the House leadership, who kind of gave us that homework assignment.
Can you be a little bit more specific about what you thought your charge was from the leadership? I believe it was from the.
That'll be the last question, then we can defer to tomorrow, everything else.
I read the assignment as this is a piece of legislation that had, it's been around since 1723. There's 63 bills, I believe, that have been introduced. It used to be 8 lines. It's now 88.
On Sunday hunting.
Correct, right. Just in that one piece of law. I read the assignment as figuring out a way to clean this up and arguably repealing it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah.